The small human probe tumbled through space like a broken toy. Its metal body was dented and sparking. Inside, the computer still worked, sending signals back to Earth. The probe had traveled farther than any human machine before, it was supposed. To test a new engine that could move faster than light, Captain James Reed watched the probe's signal on his screen at Mission Control. The signal was weak but steady. Then something strange happened. The probe hit something invisible in space. The impact made the probe spin wildly. Lights flashed on Reed's computer screen. What the hell was that? Reed said to his team. Dr. Sarah Kim checked her instruments. The probe hit some kind of barrier, but there's nothing there on our scans. Far away, in a place humans had never seen, alien beings felt the impact too. The probe had crashed into one of their hidden watching stations. The station was invisible to human eyes, but it was real. It floated in empty space between star systems. Watching and listening. Commander Vextai was the first alien to see what happened. He was tall and thin with blue skin and forearms. His large eyes could see many colors that humans could not. When the human probe hit his station, alarms started ringing. "Report," Vextai said to his crew. "Sir, something crashed into monitoring." "Post 7, said his officer. "It's a primitive vessel. Very crude design." Vextai looked at the broken probe on his screen. It was small and simple compared to alien ships. The metal was rough. The electronics were basic. But it was moving. Faster than light. That should have been impossible for such a young species. Where did this come from? Vextai asked. His science officer, a creature with tentacles instead of arms, worked quickly at her station. The vessel originated from the third planet in System Sol. The inhabitants call themselves humans. Vextai had heard of humans before. They were new to space travel. His people had been watching them for only a few decades. Humans had just learned to split atoms and build rockets. They should not have faster-than-light travel for hundreds of years. How did they build this? Vextai wondered aloud. The science officer studied the probe's wreckage. "The design is very dangerous, sir. They used unstable energy sources. The engine could have exploded at any moment. No civilized species would risk such technology." Vextai felt worried. His people, the Zephyrians, were part of the Galactic Council. The Council kept peace among thousands of species across the galaxy. They watched young species grow up slowly and safely. When a species was ready, the Council would make contact and teach them the right way to live in space. But humans were moving too fast. They were taking risks that could destroy them or others. "Send a message to the Council," Vextai ordered. "Tell them we have a situation." 3 days later, the Galactic Council met on their capital world. The meeting hall was huge and round. Representatives from hundreds of species sat in floating chairs around a central platform. Some aliens breathed different gases, so force fields kept their air separate. Others lived in water tanks or needed special light. Vextai stood before them all. His blue skin looked pale under the bright lights. "Honored council members," he began, "we have discovered a problem. The species called humans has developed faster than light travel centuries before they should have." Murmurs filled the hall. Many aliens spoke in languages that sounded like music or static or animal noises. "How is this possible?" asked Council Leader Mordain. She was ancient and wise, her silver skin covered in glowing patterns. Her species had been traveling space for thousands of years. "They are reckless," Vextai explained. "Their technology is crude and dangerous. They risk destruction with every flight. But somehow it works." Double quotes. Dr. Kiranal stood up from her seat. She was a xenobiologist who studied how different species lived and grew. Her people looked like tall insects with many eyes. Those eyes were now focused on Vextai with great interest. Commander Vextai, she said, have you studied their history? Their development patterns? Only briefly, Vextai admitted. They are a young species, primitive. They still fight wars on their home planet. That is exactly what concerns me. Dr. Kiranol said. She touched a control on her chair. A huge image appeared above the council hall. It showed Earth spinning slowly in space. I have been studying humans for 20 of their years, she continued. This species is unlike anything we have seen before. They have been fighting each other for their entire history. But they never stop. They never give up. And they never stop growing stronger. The image changed to show human cities, then battlefields, then rockets launching into space. Look at their progress, Dr. Kiranol said. In just 100 years, they went from riding animals to splitting atoms. They survived 2 massive wars that should have destroyed them. Instead, those wars made them advance faster. Council Leader Mordain leaned forward. What are you suggesting, Doctor? I am suggesting that humans are dangerous in a way we have never encountered. Most species fight until they learn peace. Humans fight and somehow become more peaceful and more dangerous at the same time. They are a contradiction. Many council members looked uncomfortable. They were used to order and predictability. Species developed in known patterns. Young species were weak and needed guidance. Old species were wise and peaceful. Humans seemed to break these rules. Surely you exaggerate, said Councillor Thelmos. He was tall and golden, from a species that prized beauty and perfection. No species can be truly dangerous to the galactic order. We have maintained peace for over 2,000 years. Dr. Kiranol showed more images. Human soldiers in different wars. Human cities rebuilt after destruction. Human rockets reaching for the stars. Look at their faces, she said. Even in defeat, they do not surrender. Even in victory, they prepare for the next challenge. This is not normal behavior. What do you recommend? Asked more single quotes Dane got, several council members spoke at once. Some wanted to make contact immediately and guide humanity properly. Others wanted to wait and watch longer. A few suggested stronger measures. Vextai spoke again. I believe we should establish a protective quarantine around their system. We can prevent them from leaving their solar system until they mature properly. It is for their own good and the safety of the galaxy. Most council members agreed. This was a standard procedure for dangerous young species. The quarantine would use invisible barriers and automated defenses. Humans would not be able to leave their home system until the council decided they were ready. The quarantine will be temporary, Mordain announced. Perhaps a few hundred years. When humans learn peace and proper technology, we will welcome them to the galactic community. The vote was almost unanimous. Only Dr. Kiranol voted against the quarantine. As the council meeting ended, she approached Vextai. You are making a mistake, she told him quietly. How so? Vextai asked. The quarantine has worked for other species. Other species fear isolation, Dr. Kiranol said. Other species accept limits. Humans are different. When you cage a human, they do not become tame. They become focused. They start planning. Vextai dismissed her concerns. They are one small species on one small planet. What threat could they possibly pose to a galaxy-spanning civilization? Dr. Kiranol looked at him with all her eyes. Commander, you have not truly studied them. Humans have a saying on their world. They say that cornered animals are the most dangerous animals of all. But Vextai was already walking away, confident in the council's decision, got far away on Earth. Captain Reed and his team were still studying the probe's final transmission. They had detected something when it crashed. Something artificial. Something that was definitely not human. Reed looked at the data one more time. Then he picked up his secure phone and called his superiors. "Sir," he said when the call connected, "we're not alone out there. And I don't think whoever's out there wants us to know they exist." The first move had been made. Neither side realized the game had already begun. 6 months had passed since the Galactic Council set up their quarantine around Earth's solar system. Invisible barriers floated in space, ready to stop any human ship that tried to leave. The Council felt proud of their quick action. They had contained the problem before it could spread. Ambassador Themos prepared for his mission to Earth. He was tall and golden, with smooth skin that seemed to glow in light. His people were known for being peaceful and wise. They had never failed in their diplomatic missions. Thelmos was confident this would be another simple task. His ship was beautiful and advanced. It could have held 1,000 human vehicles inside its hull. The metal was perfectly smooth and white. Energy shields protected it from any attack. Weapons powerful enough to destroy planets were hidden beneath its elegant design. Begin approach. To the human world, Thelmos ordered his crew. "Sir," said his navigation officer, "we are detecting something unusual." Thelmos looked at the display screen. He expected to see primitive human rockets, or maybe some satellites. Instead, he saw ships. Human ships. They were crude and ugly compared to his vessel, but they were definitely faster than light capable. "How many ships are there?" Thelmos asked. 17, sir, and more are appearing every few minutes." Thelmos felt confused. The quarantine should have prevented humans from building more FTL ships. They should have been trapped in their system, slowly learning that they needed help from more advanced species. Captain Sarah Martinez commanded the lead human ship, the U.E.'s Defiance. Her vessel looked like it was built from spare parts. Hull was patched with different metals. Weapons stuck out at odd angles. But it flew through space as fast as any alien ship. Martinez watched the alien vessel approach. It was the most beautiful thing she had ever seen. It made her own ship look like a rusty truck next to a sports car. But she was not impressed by beauty. She was a military officer who had fought in 3 wars on Earth. Pretty things could still kill you. "All ships maintain formation," Martinez ordered through her radio. "Remember the plan. Stay calm but ready." The alien ship sent a message. It appeared on screens throughout the human fleet. Thelmos spoke in perfect English, though his voice sounded like music. "Greetings, people of Earth. I am Ambassador Thelmos of the Galactic Council. We come in peace to welcome you to the greater community of intelligent species." Martinez opened a channel back to the alien ship. "This is Captain Martinez of the United Earth Fleet. We receive your message. Permission to come aboard granted." Thelmos was surprised. Most young species were excited or frightened during first contact. They asked many questions. They begged for knowledge or help. Humans seemed almost bored. The meeting took place on the alien ship. Thelmos had prepared a grand hall with floating chairs and displays showing the beauty of galactic civilization. He expected the humans to be amazed. Instead, Captain Martinez and her 2 officers looked around the room like they were checking for threats. They did not gasp at the technology. They did not ask how anything worked. They sat down and waited. "Welcome." Thelmos began his prepared speech. "You are about to join a community of over 10,000 intelligent species. We will teach you the proper ways of space travel. We will share our knowledge of peace and prosperity." President Shun, who had come up from Earth for the meeting, leaned forward in his chair. He was an older man with gray hair and tired eyes. "Thank you for your offer. We decline." Thelmos stopped speaking. In his mind, the translation system checked the words again. But there was no mistake. The human leader had said no. "I think there has been a misunderstanding," Thelmos said carefully. We are offering you membership in the greatest civilization in galactic history. You would receive technology that would advance your species by thousands of years. We understand the offer, President Chun replied. The answer is still no. But why? Thelnos asked. This had never happened before. Every species wanted to join the galactic community. Captain Martinez spoke for the first time. Because you put a cage around our solar system without asking. U.S. first. Thelmos felt uncomfortable. The protective barriers were for your own safety. Young species often make dangerous mistakes. Did you ask us if we wanted protection? Martinez continued. Well, no, but did you tell us you were watching us? It is standard procedure. You spied on us. You built walls around our home. Then you come here and offer us friendship. Martinez's voice was calm but cold. Where I come from, we call. That's something else. President Chun stood up. Ambassador Thelmos, humanity appreciates that you believe your intentions are good, but we will not accept limits on our freedom to explore space. Remove your barriers. Thelmos could not believe what he was hearing. That is impossible. The Council has voted. The quarantine will remain until you prove you are ready for galactic membership. Then we have a problem, President Chun said. The human delegation left the alien ship without another word. Thelnos watched them go, feeling confused and slightly angry. No species had ever rejected the Council's guidance. These humans did not understand how much they needed help. Back on the Defiance, Captain Martinez called her fleet. All ships. Begin Phase 2. Are you sure about this, Captain? Asked her first officer, Commander Park. We're talking about an entire galactic civilization. They drew the line first, Martinez replied. Now we show them what happens when you corner humans. Over the next few hours, Thelmos learned that humans were not like other species. His long-range sensors detected human ships appearing throughout the galaxy. They were not exploring slowly and carefully. They were mapping everything. Star systems, alien colonies, military bases, trade routes. How were they doing this? The quarantine barriers were still in place. No ship should have been able to leave Earth's solar system. Dr. Kirano, who had opposed the quarantine, received an emergency call from Thelmos. Doctor, your warnings about humans appear to have been correct, he admitted. They have somehow bypassed our containment. How is this possible? You made the classic mistake, Dr. Kirano replied from her laboratory. You assumed humans think like us. When we face a barrier, we study it carefully and ask permission to pass. Humans do something different. What do? They test it until it breaks. Commander, how exactly does your quarantine system work? Thelmos explained the invisible barriers and automated defenses. They were designed to stop ships from leaving the solar system. They had worked perfectly for thousands of years. And where exactly are these barriers placed? Dr. Kirano asked. At the edge of their solar system, of course. Standard procedure. Commander, I have been studying human behavior. When they encounter a locked door, they do not always try to open the lock. Sometimes they go through the window. Sometimes they dig under the foundation. Sometimes they go through the roof. I do not understand. Your barriers prevent ships from leaving their solar system. Do they prevent ships from entering? Thelmos felt his blood turn cold. The barriers were one way. They stopped traffic going out, but allowed traffic coming in. This prevented the contained species from feeling completely isolated. Doctor, are you suggesting that humans launch their ships toward their own barriers, let the ships be destroyed, then rebuilt them on the outside of the quarantine using wreckage that technically never left the solar system? Yes, Commander. That is exactly what I am suggesting. Thelmos checked his sensor logs. He found what he was looking for. For months, humans had been launching ships directly at the barriers. The ships had been destroyed, as designed. But the wreckage had drifted outside the containment area. What looked like accidents were actually supply runs, somewhere outside the solar system. Humans had built a secret shipyard from the wreckage of their own destroyed vessels. They had been sneaking out one piece at a time, then rebuilding on the other side. They are insane, Thelmos said quietly. No, Dr. Kirinal corrected. They are creative, and now they are angry. Reports came in from across the galaxy. Human ships were appearing everywhere. They were not attacking anything, but they were watching, mapping, learning. Every alien base, every trade route, every military position was being carefully recorded by human observers. The message that came next was broadcast on every communication frequency in the galaxy. Captain Martinez's face appeared on screens from the galactic core to the outer rim. People of the galaxy, she said, humanity has a simple message for your galactic council. You wanted to keep us in a cage. You wanted to control us without asking us. You thought we were too primitive to matter. She paused, and her expression grew colder. You were wrong. We are mapping your worlds. We are learning your weaknesses. We are preparing for war, not because we want it, but because you forced it on us. Remove your barriers and leave us alone, or discover what happens when you threaten human freedom. The transmission ended with coordinates, locations of secret, council military bases that were supposed to be hidden, patrol routes that were classified, defensive positions that no young species should have been able to detect. Humans had done in 6 months what most species took centuries to accomplish. They had mapped the galaxy. Thelmos sent an emergency message to the council. The humans have declared war on us. They have somehow bypassed all our defenses. Request immediate military response. The Galactic Council's war fleet was the most powerful force in known space. 5,000 ships gathered at the edge of human territory. Each vessel was a masterpiece of engineering, with energy shields that could stop any weapon and plasma, cannons that could melt mountains. Fleet Admiral Corinth commanded the armada from his flagship, the Eternal Peace. He was a veteran of a dozen peacekeeping missions. Never once had a primitive species refused to surrender when faced with council might. This would be another quick victory. Begin the advance, Corinth ordered. Maintain formation. Shields at maximum. We will show these humans the futility of resistance. The alien fleet moved like a wall of light through space. Their ships gleamed white and gold, beautiful and terrible. Energy crackled between them as their combined shields created an impenetrable barrier. Captain Sarah Martinez watched the enemy approach from her command ship. The human fleet looked tiny in comparison. Only 300 ships, most of them, converted cargo vessels and mining equipment. They were painted black and gray, built for function rather than beauty. All ships, this is Martinez, she broadcast to her fleet. Remember what we learned from our wars on Earth. Pretty formations. Break. Elegant tactics fail. What wins battles is being willing to do what your enemy will not do. The first engagement happened near Jupiter. The alien fleet expected humans to meet them in honorable combat, ship against ship in open space. Instead, human forces scattered like startled birds. Some human ships flew directly into the asteroid belt. Others dove toward Jupiter's moons. A few seemed to be running away completely. Admiral Corinth was puzzled but not concerned. Pursue all enemy vessels, he ordered. Do not let them escape. That was his first mistake. The human ships hiding in the asteroid belt had been busy. They had attached rockets to large asteroids and aimed them at the alien fleet. When Corinth's ships entered the asteroid field to chase the humans, they found themselves under bombardment from rocks the size of buildings. The aliens' energy shields could stop plasma blasts and laser beams. They were not designed to stop. Millions of tons of solid rock moving at incredible speed. Several alien ships were crushed when asteroids smashed through their defenses. "This is barbaric," Corinth said as he watched his beautiful ships being destroyed by flying rocks. "No civilized species fights with such crude tactics." His communications officer looked up from her station. "Sir, we are receiving a message." From the human fleet, Captain Martinez appeared on the screen. Behind her, explosion flashes lit up her ship's bridge. "Admiral Corinth," she said, "you came here expecting us to fight like you. Neat formations, honor codes, civilized rules. But you made one mistake." "What mistake?" Corinth demanded. "You forgot that we are not civilized. We are survivors." The transmission cut off. A moment later, Corinth learned what Martinez meant. The human ships that had fled toward Jupiter's moons were not running away. They had been setting up an ambush. Hidden behind the rocky moons, they had been preparing a trap that used Jupiter's own gravity as a weapon. Massive metal pods came flying out from behind the moons. Each pod contained a nuclear warhead wrapped in a shell of depleted uranium. The pods used Jupiter's gravity to accelerate to incredible speeds. Before striking the alien fleet dot, the aliens' computers could track and destroy normal missiles. But these pods were not guided missiles. They were just lumps of metal falling through space. By the time the alien sensors recognized the threat, the pods were moving too fast to stop. Nuclear explosions lit up space around Jupiter. The alien fleet's perfect formation scattered as ships tried to avoid the bombardment. Some collided with each other. Others spun out of control as the blasts damaged their navigation systems. Admiral Corinth's biggest shock was yet to come. Commander Lisa Park led a squadron of human ships called the Ghost Fleet. These ships looked damaged and helpless. Their hulls were cracked. Their engines sparked and sputtered. They drifted through space like wreckage. The alien crews felt sorry for them. Here were obviously crippled vessels, barely holding together. Several alien captains moved to capture the damaged ships rather than destroy them. Too late, they discovered the truth. The Ghost Fleet ships were not damaged. They were disguised. Inside their broken-looking hulls were the most dangerous weapons humanity had ever built. When alien ships came close to rescue them, the Ghost Fleet vessels revealed their true nature. Hidden compartments opened to release swarms of smaller attack craft. Fake damage panels fell away to show massive railguns. Ships that looked dead suddenly came alive with lethal intent. But the most terrifying moment came when Ghost Fleet ship Zombie rammed the alien cruiser, Harmony of Spheres. The human ship seemed to explode on impact. Admiral Corinth thought the threat was over. Then the wreckage of Zombie kept moving. The ship had been designed to break apart in sections, each piece carrying its own weapons and guidance system. What looked like one destroyed ship became dozens of smaller threats, all attacking the alien vessel from different angles. The Harmony of Spheres was torn apart by explosions from inside and outside. Its crew never understood what had killed them. "How are they doing this?" Corinth asked his tactical officer. "Sir, it appears the humans designed their ships to continue fighting even after being destroyed. Each vessel carries multiple backup systems and can operate as several smaller units." Corinth had fought many species, but none had ever built ships meant to be destroyed and keep fighting. It violated every principle of civilized warfare. The situation got worse when human hackers joined the battle. Technical Sergeant Maria Santos sat in a bunker deep underground on Earth. She was not a soldier in the traditional sense. She was a computer expert who had learned her skills fighting cybercriminals and enemy nations. Now she turned those skills against alien technology. The Galactic Council's greatest advantage was their network of connected computers. Every ship, every weapon, every system talked to every other system through quantum communication links. This allowed perfect coordination across vast Distances. Santos and her team found a way into that network. Initiating Cyber Attack Protocol 7, Santos announced to her team. Let's teach these aliens why you don't network everything together. The first sign of trouble came when alien weapons started firing at their own ships. Computer viruses, created by human programmers, made the aliens' targeting systems see friendly vessels as enemies. The aliens' own precision became their weakness as they accidentally destroyed each other with perfect accuracy. Then human hackers started taking control of alien ship systems directly. Engine controls, life support, navigation, communications. Everything became unreliable. Some alien ships found themselves flying in circles. Others lost power to their weapons at critical moments. The most devastating attack came when Santos accessed the aliens' central tactical database. In seconds, she downloaded every battle plan, every fleet position, every strategic secret the Council possessed. Then she erased the aliens' own copies and sent false information to replace it. Admiral Corinth found himself commanding a fleet that no longer knew where it was or what it was supposed to be doing. His ships were receiving contradictory orders. His sensors showed enemy positions that were not real and missed real threats entirely. Sir, his communications officer reported, we are receiving another message from the humans. This time it was not Captain Martinez. A young woman in a military uniform appeared on screen. Behind her were rows of computers and technicians. Admiral, she said, this is Sergeant Santos of Earth Cyber Command. We now control your fleet's computer network. Your weapons, your engines, your life support. We can turn them off whenever we want. Corinth felt cold fear for the first time. In his career, what do you want? We want you to leave. Go back to your council and tell them what happened here. Tell them that humans do not fight fair. We fight to win. The alien fleet began withdrawing from human space. They had lost over 1,000 ships without ever really understanding how. The humans had not defeated them with superior technology or greater numbers. They had won by fighting in ways that shocked and confused their enemies. As the aliens retreated, Captain Martinez broadcast one final message to the galaxy. You came to our home with 5,000 ships. You thought your numbers and your technology would frighten us into surrender. But you do not understand humans. We have been fighting each other for thousands of years. We have learned every dirty trick, every desperate tactic, every way to turn weakness into strength. She paused, her face grim but determined. Your worlds will scream in fire because you forced this war on us. But remember, we did not start this fight. You did. And now you will learn what happens when you threaten the freedom of humanity. The transmission ended. Across the galaxy, alien civilizations that had felt safe for centuries suddenly realized they were in danger. Humanity was coming, and they fought like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. On Earth, President Chun met with his military commanders to plan the next phase of the war. Can we win this? Asked General Rodriguez. Chun looked at the reports from the Jupiter battle. Human casualties were heavy, but alien losses were devastating. We are not fighting to win, Chun replied. We are fighting to make them regret starting this war, and we are very good at making people regret fighting us. The fortress world of Kelmdar had never fallen to an enemy. For 3,000 years, it had protected the inner systems of the Galactic Council. Its surface was covered with massive defense towers that could destroy entire fleets. Underground, bunkers held millions of soldiers and enough supplies to last for decades. The planet's commander, General Zexamur, felt confident as he watched human ships approach his world. He had studied the reports from the Jupiter battle. Yes, humans fought. Strangely, but Kelmdar was not a fleet of ships. It was a planet-sized fortress with defenses that had been perfected over millennia. Let them come, Zeximor told his staff. They will break themselves against our walls like waves against rock. Commander Elena Vasquez led the human assault, forced toward Kalimdar. Her fleet was smaller than the one that had fought at Jupiter. Only 200 ships, and many of those were converted cargo vessels and mining equipment. To alien observers, it looked like humanity was throwing away what remained of their navy in a hopeless attack. They were wrong got as the human fleet approached Kalimdar. Vasquez opened communication channels to every frequency in the galaxy. Her message would be heard on every world by every species, from the galactic core to the outer rim. People of the galaxy, she began. This is Commander Elena Vasquez of the Human Liberation Fleet. We are about to begin the siege of Kalimdar. You wanted to cage us. You wanted to treat us like animals that needed training. Fine. Let us show you what caged animals do when they break free. The first phase of the attack looked like suicide. Human ships flew directly toward the planets. Defense towers. The towers opened fire with weapons that could melt asteroids. Several human vessels were destroyed immediately, their crews vaporized in bursts of superheated plasma. But other ships kept coming. They did not try to dodge or use shields. They flew straight into the defensive fire as if they did not care. About dying, General Zeximor watched in confusion as more human ships were destroyed. What are they doing? This is not a battle plan. This is mass suicide. His tactical officer studied the sensor readings. Sir, the human ships appear to be carrying unusual cargo. Large quantities of metallic dust and crystalline particles. That was when Zeximor realized what was happening. The human ships were not trying to survive their attack runs. They were delivery vehicles. Each time a ship was destroyed, it released clouds of microscopic particles into Kalimdar's atmosphere. Within hours, the planet's weather began to change. The particles in the atmosphere absorbed and reflected the planet's heat in strange ways. Massive storms began forming over the defense installations. Lightning struck the towers again and again, overloading their power systems. But the particles did more than change the weather. They also interfered with the planet's communication, systems, and sensors. The defense towers could no longer coordinate their fire. They began shooting blindly, sometimes hitting each other by mistake. This is impossible, Zeximor said. How did they know our defensive systems would be vulnerable to atmospheric interference? Dr. Kirano, monitoring the battle from her research station, sent in the answer. General, humans have been fighting wars on their own planet for thousands of years. They have used weather as a weapon many times. They understand that the environment can be turned into an ally. The second phase of the human attack was even more disturbing. Instead of landing troops on the planet's surface, human ships began dropping strange objects into Kalimdar's oceans. The objects looked like simple metal containers, but they contained something that made General Zeximor's blood run cold. Earth bacteria. Modified and weaponized, the containers released billions of microscopic organisms into Kalimdar's water supply. These bacteria had been engineered to eat specific types of metal and plastic. Within days, the planet's underground supply lines began to fail. Water pipes corroded, power cables dissolved, food storage containers fell apart. They are using biological warfare, Zeximor reported to the Council in horror. They are poisoning our world with invisible weapons. The bacteria did not harm living beings directly, but they destroyed the infrastructure that kept the fortress world functioning. Elevators stopped working. Computer systems failed as their circuits were eaten away. Even the air recycling systems began to break down. General Zeximor tried to organize his forces for a counterattack, but found that his army was falling apart. Not from enemy fire, but from the slow collapse of everything they depended on. Soldiers. could not get food because the supply trucks had broken down. Communications failed because the relay towers were corroding from within. Weapons would not fire because their electronic components had been dissolved. The third phase of the attack showed humanity's true genius for warfare. While the planet's defenses crumbled, human ships did not land armies of soldiers. Instead, they began broadcasting messages directly to the civilian population of Kelndar. Commander Vasquez appeared on every screen that still worked on the planet. But she was not speaking to the military forces. She was talking to the ordinary, people who lived in the cities and towns of Kelndar. Citizens of Kelndar, she said, we are not your enemies. We are fighting your government, not you. The Galactic Council started this war when they tried to imprison humanity. But you are not responsible for their decision. She paused, letting her words sink in. We know that many of you have never wanted to fight. We know that some of your species were forced to join the Council against their will. We offer you a choice. Help us end this war quickly, and we will help you build a better future. Continue to support the Council's oppression, and you will share their fate. The message was broadcast in dozens of languages. It reached not just the people of Kelndar, but populations across the galaxy. And it included something that shocked every government in Council space. Proof. Evidence that the Galactic Council was not the benevolent organization it claimed to be. Human hackers had stolen thousands of classified documents showing how the Council controlled member species through fear and economic pressure. The documents revealed secret police forces, prison worlds, and systematic oppression of any group that questioned Council authority. On Kelndar, riots began in the cities. Not all the population supported the rebellion, but enough did to paralyze the planet's war effort. Transportation systems were sabotaged. Military supply depots were raided by civilian groups. Council loyalists found themselves fighting their own people instead of the human invaders. General Zexamore tried to restore order, but his communications were being jammed by human electronic warfare specialists. Worse, he discovered that some of his own officers had begun secretly negotiating with the humans. Sir, one of his lieutenants reported, Colonel Vimter has surrendered his entire regiment to the human forces. He says the humans have offered to help his people gain independence from the Council. Zexamore felt his world collapsing around him, not from bombs or missiles, but from the slow realization that his cause was lost. The humans had not conquered Kelndar by destroying it. They had convinced the planet to destroy itself. The siege lasted 3 months. During that time, no massive battles were fought. No great fleets clashed in space. Instead, the humans systematically dismantled everything that made Kelndar function as a fortress world. Supply lines failed. Communications broke down. The population turned against its government. The planet's defenses rotted away from within, like a diseased tree. When General Zexamore finally surrendered, he did so not because his army had been defeated in battle, but because he no longer had an army. Most of his soldiers had either joined the rebellion or simply gone home to protect their families from the chaos. Commander Vasquez accepted the surrender in person. She met General Zexamore in what had once been his command center. The room was dark and cold. Most of the computers had stopped working weeks ago. "How did you do this?" Zexamore asked. "We had every advantage. Superior numbers, better technology, stronger defenses." Vasquez looked around the ruined command center. "General, you made the same mistake everyone makes when fighting humans. You assumed we would play by your rules. What rules did we expect you to follow? You expected us to attack your strengths instead of your weaknesses. You expected us to fight armies instead of ideas. You expected us to try to take your world instead of convincing your world to give itself to us." Zexamore felt old and tired. "What happens now?" Now you help us end this war before more people die. The Council cannot win against humanity because we do not fight the way they expect. Every time they try to stop us, we find a new way to hurt them. Vasquez broadcast her final message from Kelmdar's capital city. Behind her, former Council soldiers worked alongside human troops to restore the planet's infrastructure. The sight shocked viewers across the galaxy. This is Commander Vasquez speaking from Kelmdar. This planet has fallen not to human conquest, but to human ideas. The idea that all intelligent beings deserve freedom. The idea that governments should serve their people, not control them. The idea that the strong should protect the weak, not exploit them. She looked directly into the camera, her expression serious but not cruel. To the Galactic Council, you started this war because you were afraid of what humanity might become. Your fear has created the very thing you. 1 year after the fall of Kelmdar, the galaxy was a different place. The war between humanity and the Galactic Council had ended not with a great battle, but with the Council's quiet surrender. They had simply run out of worlds willing to fight. For them, former Council member Vextai walked slowly through the corridors of what had once been the Council's greatest symbol of power. The central government complex on Zephyria Prime had been the center of galactic civilization for over 2,000 years. Now it served as the headquarters of something new, the human-led Galactic Union. The building looked the same from the outside, but everything inside had changed. Where once only the most important council members had been allowed, now representatives from hundreds of species worked together. Many of these species had never been permitted to speak in the old government. Vextai stopped outside an office door. The nameplate read, Ambassador Vextai, Zephyrian representative to the Galactic Union. A year ago, he had been giving orders to primitive species. Now he was asking permission from the humans he had once dismissed as barbaric. He knocked on the door and entered. President Shun, now called Director General of the Union, sat behind a simple desk. The office was plain and functional, nothing like the grand chambers the council leaders had used. Chun looked tired but determined. Vextai, Shun said, looking up from his work. Thank you for coming. Please sit. Vextai took a chair across from the human leader. Director General, I have the report you requested on the integration of the Outer Rim territories. Chun accepted the datapad and quickly read through it. Excellent work. The transition is going better than we hoped. Sir, may I ask you a question? Of course. Vextai hesitated, then spoke carefully. Why did you not simply destroy us? Your military power is proven. You could have taken revenge for what the Council did to humanity. Chun set down the report and looked at Vextai thoughtfully. Because revenge would have made us no better than the Council. We did not fight this war to become the galaxy's new masters. We fought it to make sure no one could be anyone's master. But surely you must want something in return for your victory? Chun smiled, but it was a tired smile. What we want is what we have always wanted. The freedom to explore, to grow, to make our own choices. And we want the same thing for everyone else. Vextai still found this difficult to believe. In his experience, powerful species always dominated weaker ones. It was the natural order of things. Director General, with respect, humans now control the largest military force in galactic history. You could rule every world if you chose to. Yes, we could, Sean agreed. And that is exactly why we will not. Power that can be taken by force can also be lost by force. We are building something that will last longer than any empire ever has. 3 levels below the Director General's office, Admiral Sarah Martinez walked through the Union's new military command center. The room buzzed with activity as human and alien officers worked side by side, coordinating the defense of over 8,000 worlds. Martinez stopped at a station where a young human, Lieutenant was working with a Kelmdarian engineer to design new ship modifications. How is the integration project coming along, Lieutenant Kim? Martinez asked. Very well, Admiral, the lieutenant replied. Engineer Vorth has some brilliant ideas about combining our defensive systems with their shield technology. The Kelmdarian engineer, a tall being with 4 arms and blue-green skin, looked up from his work. Admiral Martinez, I must say that human engineering is most impressive. Crude, perhaps, but remarkably effective. Martinez laughed. Engineer Vorth, after working with humans for a year, what do you think of us? Vorth considered the question. Seriously. At first, I thought humans were simply violent and unpredictable, but I have learned something important. Humans are not violent by nature. You are protective by nature. You fight not because you enjoy it, but because you will not allow others to be hurt. What makes you say that? Because when the fighting stopped, you immediately began helping your former enemies. This is not the behavior of a conquering species. This is the behavior of a species that fights only when forced to fight. Martinez nodded. It was an observation she had heard from many former council species. They had expected humans to be brutal conquerors. Instead, they found humans working hard to repair the damage the war had caused. Across the galaxy, similar scenes were playing out on thousands of worlds. On the mining planet of Sector 7, human engineers worked with local species to design safer extraction methods. On the agricultural world of Green Haven, human farmers shared techniques that increased crop yields without damaging the environment. But perhaps the most important changes were happening in places most people never saw. Dr. Kirinal stood in her laboratory, now expanded to include research teams from dozens of species. She was studying something that fascinated her: how different species could work together more effectively than anyone had thought possible. Her latest research subject was a joint human-alien exploration team that was preparing for humanity's most ambitious project yet. The psychological profiles are remarkable, she explained to her research assistant, a young human named Dr. Park. When species work together voluntarily, rather than under the old council's forced cooperation, their performance increases by over 300%. Why do you think that is? Dr. Park asked. Because fear suppresses creativity. The council maintained order through intimidation. Species obeyed because they were afraid of punishment. But fear makes people careful and conservative. They do not take risks or try new ideas. Dr. Kirinal called up a holographic display showing brain scans from various species. Humans, however, inspire rather than intimidate. When other species see humans taking impossible risks and succeeding, it makes them brave enough to try new things themselves. Humans have taught the galaxy to stop being afraid of failure. The display changed to show the joint exploration team preparing for their mission. This team is about to attempt something that would have been unthinkable under the council. They are going to leave the galaxy entirely and explore what lies beyond our local cluster of stars. Dr. Park looked at the data in amazement. That is incredibly dangerous. The distances involved, the unknown hazards, ... Exactly. And that is why it could only happen now, under human leadership. Humans have taught us that great achievements require great risks. The exploration fleet was gathering at the edge of the galaxy. 50 ships, representing 20 different species, all working together on a mission that would take them farther from home than anyone had ever traveled. Admiral Elena Vasquez, promoted after her victory at Kalmdar, commanded the expedition. She stood on the bridge of her flagship, the U-East Pathfinder, watching as the last supply ships arrived. Admiral, her communications officer reported, we are receiving a message from Director General Chun. Chun's face appeared on the main screen. Behind him, representatives from hundreds of worlds had gathered to witness the launch. Admiral Vasquez, people of the expedition fleet, Chun began, You are about to embark on the greatest journey in galactic history. You carry with you not just the hopes of humanity, but the dreams of every species that has ever looked up at the stars and wondered what lies beyond. He paused, looking directly at the camera. A year ago, the galaxy thought humanity was a threat that needed to be contained. They were right about one thing. We are a threat. We are a threat to ignorance, to oppression, to the idea that intelligent beings should accept limits on their dreams. The transmission switched to show crowds gathered on worlds throughout the galaxy. Humans and aliens stood together, watching the departure of the exploration fleet. The galaxy tried to cage humanity, Shun continued. Instead, humanity has taught the galaxy to break free from all cages. You go now not as conquerors, but as explorers. Not as the representatives of any single species, but as the representatives of hope itself. Admiral Vasquez felt the weight of history on her shoulders as she gave the order to depart. All ships, this is Pathfinder, she broadcast to her fleet. Begin jump sequence. Destination, the unknown. Mission, to show the universe that there are no limits to what free beings can achieve when they work together. The 50 ships vanished in flashes of light, carrying their crews beyond the edge of the galaxy. Back on Earth, President Shun stood in his old office, looking out at the sky. His aide approached with the day's reports. Sir, we have received applications from 43 more species requesting membership in the Union. Also, the Zephyrian Council has formally thanked us for helping them establish their first democratic government. Shun nodded but continued looking at the stars. Sir, is everything all right? Chun smiled. I was just thinking about something Dr. Kiranol told me. She said that humans have taught the galaxy to stop being afraid of failure. But I think we have learned something too. What is that, sir? We have learned that our greatest strength was never our willingness to fight. It was our refusal to fight alone. Every victory we won because we convinced others to join. U.S. Every world we liberated by showing them they could liberate themselves. He turned away from the window. The galaxy feared we would bring fire and destruction. Instead, we